I was standing in the doorway of what should have been my granddaughter's sanctuary, watching her scrub the kitchen floor on her hands and knees at 11 o'clock at night. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, her face was pale and drawn, and her hands, those beautiful hands that used to play piano, were red and cracked from constant cleaning. Behind her, through the open living room, I could see 5 women lounging on the furniture I'd helped Emma pick out just 3 months ago. They were laughing, drinking wine from Emma's late husband's collection, their feet propped up on the coffee table. One of them called out something about needing more ice, and I watched my granddaughter's shoulders tense before she slowly pushed herself up off the floor. That's when I knew I had made the right decision to drive 6 hours without warning. 3 months earlier, my world had shattered along with Emma's. Her husband, Michael, had died in a boating accident off the coast of South Carolina. They'd only been married 2 years. Emma was 28 years old, and suddenly, a widow. I watched my vibrant, independent granddaughter, who had just finished her master's degree in marine biology, crumble under the weight of grief. She couldn't bear to stay in their apartment in Charleston anymore. Every corner held a memory that cut like glass. That's when I remembered the beach house. My late husband had left me some money, and I'd been saving it for something meaningful. I used it as a down payment on a small beach cottage in North Carolina, about 40 minutes from where Michael had grown up. It wasn't anything fancy, just a 2-bedroom house with weathered blue siding and a front porch that faced the ocean. But it had good bones, and more importantly, it had peace. I put it in Emma's name. I wanted her to have a place where she could heal, where she could hear the waves and remember that life continues, even after devastating loss. Emma had been hesitant at first. "Grandmother, this is too much," she'd said, tears streaming down her face as we stood on that porch for the first time. "I can't accept this." "You're not accepting it," I'd told her firmly, taking both her hands in mine. "You're surviving, and sometimes surviving requires a safe place to fall apart before you can put yourself back together." She'd moved in immediately. For the first month, I called her every other day. She sounded tired, sad, but there was a thread of something else in her voice, maybe hope, or at least the possibility of it. She talked about long walks on the beach, about watching the sunrise, about slowly beginning to breathe again. I'd even started to believe that maybe, just maybe, she was going to be okay. Then the calls became less frequent. When we did talk, Emma sounded distracted, tired in a different way. Not grief-tired, but exhausted-tired. She said she was fine, just busy fixing up the house. I'd wanted to believe her, but a mother knows, and a grandmother knows even better. That's why when I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, I got in my car last Saturday morning and drove straight through. I didn't call ahead. Some instinct told me that I needed to see with my own eyes what was happening. That instinct, it turned out, was right. I'd arrived just after dark, around 8:30. The first thing I noticed was the cars. 4 cars in the driveway and 2 more parked on the street. My stomach had clenched. Emma didn't know that many people here. This was supposed to be her quiet place. I'd used the key Emma had given me and let myself in the side door that led to the kitchen. The house was loud. Music was playing. People were talking and laughing. And there was Emma, on her knees, scrubbing the floor while strangers partied in her living room. When Emma finally looked up and saw me, the relief that flooded her face nearly broke my heart, but it was quickly replaced by something else. Fear, shame. Before I could say anything, a woman appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Emma, we're out of," she stopped when she saw me. She was probably in her early 30s, blonde, with the kind of confident posture that comes from never being told no. "Oh, who's this?" Emma scrambled to her feet. "Catherine, this is my grandmother, Ruth. Grandmother, this is Catherine. She was Michael's sister." Was. Past tense. I caught that immediately. Michael was dead, but Catherine was very much alive and standing in my granddaughter's kitchen like she owned the place. "Nice to meet you," Catherine said, though her tone suggested it was anything but. Emma didn't mention she was expecting company. "That's because I didn't tell her I was coming," I said pleasantly. "I wanted to surprise my granddaughter. I can see she's been busy." Catherine glanced at the bucket and cleaning supplies, then back at Emma with something that looked like satisfaction. "Oh yes, we've been keeping her busy. It's good for her, actually. keeps her mind off things. Grief can make people so unproductive. The casual cruelty of that statement made my blood pressure rise, but I kept my voice calm. I see. And how long have you been visiting? 3 weeks tomorrow, Catherine said brightly. Though visiting isn't quite the right word. Michael would have wanted his family to have access to this place. It's as much ours as it is hers. Except it wasn't. The deed was in Emma's name. I'd made sure of that, but I didn't say anything yet. I needed to understand the full scope of what was happening before I acted. Well, I said, setting my purse down on the counter, I'm going to stay for a few days. Emma, sweetheart, why don't you show me where I'll be sleeping? Emma's eyes darted to Catherine, almost like she was asking for permission. That small gesture told me everything I needed to know about how bad this situation had become. Actually, Catherine said, the guest room is being used. My friends Melissa and Stephanie are in there. They're helping me sort through Michael's things. His things, she emphasized, that Emma has been hoarding. Hoarding, I repeated slowly. His personal effects. In his widow's home. Exactly, Catherine said, missing the ice in my tone entirely. But don't worry. There's a perfectly good couch in the den. Emma's been sleeping there anyway since we took the master bedroom. The bed's better for my back. I looked at Emma. Her face had gone bright red, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. She was staring at the floor she'd just scrubbed. Why don't you finish the kitchen, Emma? Catherine said dismissively. Ruth, come meet the girls. We're having wine. I'm sure Emma can bring you a glass. She walked away, clearly expecting me to follow. I didn't. Instead, I waited until I heard her rejoin her friends in the living room, their laughter starting up again. Emma, I said quietly, look at me. She finally raised her eyes. They were filled with tears. How long has this been going on? 3 weeks, she whispered. They showed up the day after Michael's mother's birthday. Catherine said they wanted to have a small memorial here, at the beach where he loved. It was just supposed to be a weekend. But then she said her apartment lease was up and she needed a place to stay just for a little while until she found something new. And then her friends came and... Her voice cracked. I didn't know how to say no. She's his sister. And she keeps saying Michael would have wanted this, would have wanted me to share with his family. And the master bedroom? How did that happen? Emma's face flushed deeper. She said the guest room was too small for her, and that since I was sleeping poorly anyway because of the grief, I might as well take the couch. She said she needed good sleep because she's been dealing with so much stress planning Michael's memorial things. Memorial things, I said, my voice flat. It's been 3 months since he died. What memorial things? I don't know. She's always on her phone or her laptop, saying she's coordinating with people. And she and her friends go through boxes in the garage, saying they're helping sort Michael's belongings. His belongings that are legally yours. Emma nodded miserably. And the cleaning? The cooking? Catherine said that since she and her friends were helping me so much with the emotional labor of dealing with Michael's things, the least I could do was handle the household things. And I thought, I mean, I am the one living here for free because of what you did for me, and they are his family. So maybe she was right that I should... Stop, I said firmly. You are not living here for free. This house is yours. Your name is on the deed. You're not a guest, Emma. You're not a maid. You're the homeowner. But Michael is gone. The words were harsh, but they needed to be said. And I'm so sorry that he is. But he's not here to speak for himself, and Catherine doesn't get to speak for him. Especially not to tell you how to live in your own home. Emma's tears spilled over. I don't know what to do. Every time I try to say something, she makes me feel like I'm being selfish. Like I'm not honoring Michael's memory. And I'm so tired, Grandmother. I'm so tired I can't think straight anymore. I pulled her into a hug, feeling how thin she'd gotten, how she trembled with exhaustion. How much are you sleeping? Maybe 4 hours? They stay up late, and the den is right off the living room, so I can hear everything. And then Catherine wakes me up early because she likes fresh coffee and breakfast by 7. What about your work? Your research position? Emma pulled back, wiping her eyes. I had to take a leave of absence. I can't focus, and I was making mistakes in the lab. My supervisor was understanding, but... She trailed off. Do you have anywhere else you can go? Any friends nearby? She shook her head. Most of my friends are in Charleston, and I can't go back there. I can't. I understood. Going back would mean facing all those memories again. This house was supposed to be her fresh start, her refuge, and these women had turned it into a prison. Okay, I said, pulling out my phone. I need you to do something for me. Go upstairs right now, pack a bag with essentials, and put it in my car. Don't let them see you. Can you do that? Are we leaving? Emma looked both hopeful and terrified. Not yet, but I want you to have an exit ready if you need one. Go now, while they're distracted. While Emma slipped upstairs, I walked into the living room. Catherine and her 4 friends were sprawled across the furniture. I recognized the expensive throw pillows I'd helped Emma order online. There were wine bottles on the coffee table, rings where glasses had been set without coasters, and someone's muddy shoes on the cream-colored ottoman. "Ruth," Catherine said with false warmth, "did Emma get you that wine?" "No," I said pleasantly. "I wanted to talk to you all for a moment. Help me understand the situation here. You said you've been here 3 weeks?" "That's right," Catherine said. "Like I mentioned, we're helping Emma deal with Michael's estate. It's a lot of work, you know. Very emotionally draining." "I'm sure," I said. "And you're staying in the master bedroom?" "Yes," Emma insisted, Catherine said smoothly. She said she wasn't sleeping well anyway, and the couch was actually more comfortable for her right now. She's very generous, your granddaughter. I said. "And you're all staying for free, I assume? No contribution to utilities or groceries?" One of the friends, a brunette who I assumed was Melissa, shifted uncomfortably. But Catherine's smile never wavered. "We're family. Family doesn't charge each other rent." "Interesting perspective," I said, "especially since this house belongs to Emma, not to Michael's family. Do you have the deed that shows otherwise?" The room went quiet. Catherine's smile tightened. "Michael's mother seems to think there might be some question about the will, whether Emma should have gotten everything." "Michael's mother," I said, "wasn't married to him. Emma was, and the house isn't part of Michael's estate anyway. I bought it and put it in Emma's name 3 months ago. It was never Michael's property to leave to anyone." "Still," Catherine said, her voice cooling, "Michael would have wanted to share with his family." "Perhaps. But Michael isn't here to say that, is he? You are. And from what I can see, you're not asking Emma to share. You're taking. There's a difference." Catherine stood up. She was taller than me, younger, and clearly used to intimidating people. "I don't like your tone. I don't like your behavior," I replied calmly. "Let me be very clear about something. This is Emma's house. You are guests, and guests don't take the master bedroom from their host. Guests don't make their host sleep on the couch. Guests don't make their host cook and clean for them. Guests certainly don't stay for 3 weeks without an end date." "We're not guests," Catherine snapped. "We're family." "Then act like it," I said. "Family supports. Family doesn't exploit." "Exploit?" Catherine laughed, but it sounded forced. "That's ridiculous. We're helping her. She's a mess. She can barely function. We're keeping her busy, giving her purpose." "Keeping her busy?" I felt my anger rising. "She's 28 years old. She has a master's degree. She's a marine biologist. Her purpose is not to be your unpaid housekeeper in her own home." "Look," one of the other friends said, trying to sound reasonable, "maybe we've overstayed a bit, but Catherine needed somewhere to stay, and Emma offered—" "Did she?" I turned to the woman. "Did Emma offer? Or did Catherine tell her that Michael would have wanted it, and Emma, grieving and exhausted and alone, couldn't find the strength to say no?" No one answered. "That's what I thought," I said. I turned back to Catherine. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to give Emma back her bedroom tonight. All of you are going to help clean up this mess you've made. And tomorrow morning, you're going to start looking for somewhere else to stay." Catherine's face went red. "You can't tell us what to do. You don't even live here." "You're right. I don't. But Emma does. And unlike you, I was invited." I pulled out my phone. Emma gave me her lawyer's number in case of emergencies. "I think this qualifies. Would you like me to call him tonight, or would you prefer to do the right thing on your own?" "You're bluffing," Catherine said. "Try me," I replied. We stood there, locked in a silent battle of wills. Then Emma appeared in the doorway, and I saw something in her face that hadn't been there before. Not quite strength yet, but maybe the memory of what strength felt like. "Catherine," Emma said, her voice shaking but clear, "my grandmother is right. I need you all to leave." Catherine spun to face her. "Emma, don't be ridiculous. We're family. We're helping you." "No," Emma said, and her voice got stronger. "You're not. You're helping yourselves. To my house, my food, my time, my sleep. You're taking everything, and I have nothing left to give." "Michael would be so disappointed in you," Catherine said, and I watched Emma flinch. But before Emma could respond, I stepped forward. "Don't you dare," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "Don't you dare use a dead man's imagined disappointment to manipulate his widow. Michael loved Emma. If he were here, he'd be horrified by what you've done." "You didn't even know my brother," Catherine shot back. "No, I didn't. But I know my granddaughter, and I know what grief looks like, and what abuse looks like, and what you've been doing is abuse. That's insane." "Is it?" I pulled out my phone again. "Emma, do you have any texts from Catherine? Any messages where she tells you what to do, criticizes you, demands things?" Emma nodded slowly and pulled out her own phone. She scrolled through, then started reading aloud. "Emma, I need breakfast by 7. I have an important call. The bathroom wasn't cleaned properly. Please redo it. Can you pick up more wine on your way back from wherever you're going? We're almost out. My friends are coming over tonight. Make sure the house is presentable. You really should be more grateful we're helping you deal with Michael's things." With each message, Catherine's face went paler. "Those sound like messages to a servant," I said. "Not to family. Not to someone who's helping." Melissa stood up. "Look, Catherine, maybe we should go. This is getting uncomfortable." "Sit down," Catherine snapped. "We're not going anywhere. Emma wouldn't actually kick us out. She's too weak." And that's when something shifted in Emma. I saw it in her eyes, a spark of anger that burned through the exhaustion and grief and fear. She'd been called weak one too many times. "Get out," Emma said. "What?" I said, "Get out. Now. All of you." Catherine laughed, but it was uncertain. "Emma, be reasonable." "I've been reasonable for 3 weeks," Emma said, her voice rising. "I've been reasonable while you took my bedroom. I've been reasonable while you made me cook and clean. I've been reasonable while you went through my dead husband's belongings without permission. I've been reasonable while you made me feel guilty for grieving in my own home. I'm done being reasonable. Get out." The last 2 words came out as a shout, and I'd never been more proud of her. Catherine's mouth opened and closed. Then she tried a different tactic. "Fine, but you're making a huge mistake. Michael's mother is going to hear about this. She's going to be so hurt that you're treating his family this way." "Then she can call me herself," Emma said. "But she doesn't get a key to my house either. We need time to pack." "You have 1 hour," I said, checking my watch. It's now 11:15. At 12:15, anything left behind will be put on the curb. "This is crazy," one of the friends muttered. But she was already gathering her things. Catherine made one last attempt. "Emma, please, think about what you're doing. You'll be all alone here. No family, no support." "She has me," I said firmly, "and she has friends who actually care about her, not just what they can take from her. Now you have 58 minutes. The next hour was chaos. Catherine and her friends stomped around upstairs, slamming drawers and muttering. I stayed in the living room with Emma, who had collapsed onto the her couch, and was staring into space like she couldn't quite believe what had just happened. "Are you okay?" I asked softly. "I don't know," she said. I feel like I just woke up from a nightmare, but I'm not sure if I'm really awake yet." "You're awake," I assured her. "And you were so brave just now." "I wasn't brave," Emma said. "I was just done. I couldn't do it anymore. And when she called me weak," she trailed off, her hands clenching into fists. "I've lost my husband. I've lost my home in Charleston. I've lost 3 months of my life to grief. But I am not weak." "No, sweetheart, you're not." At 12:10, Catherine came downstairs with her friends, all of them carrying suitcases and bags. They were silent now. No more laughter, no more condescension, just cold, angry faces. "You'll regret this," Catherine said at the door. "When you're alone here, when you're struggling, don't come crying to us." "I won't," Emma said quietly. I have people who love me. You were never them. After they left, Emma and I locked the door behind them. We stood in the living room, looking at the mess they'd left behind, empty wine bottles, plates with food, towels dropped on the floor. It would take hours to clean. Leave it, I said. We'll deal with it tomorrow. Right now, you're going to shower, put on clean pajamas, and sleep in your own bed. Grandmother, Emma said, and her voice broke. Thank you. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come. You would have figured it out, I told her, hugging her tight. Maybe not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. You're stronger than you know, but I'm glad I could help speed things along. That night, I slept in the guest room while Emma finally slept in her own bed. I woke up once around 3 a.m. and checked on her. She was sprawled across the mattress, her hair fanned out on the pillow, sleeping so deeply she didn't even stir when I peeked in. The next morning, we spent hours cleaning. As we worked, Emma really talked for the first time in months. She told me about the little ways Catherine had undermined her, made her doubt herself, made her feel like a burden in her own home. She told me about the belongings of Michael's that had disappeared, things Catherine claimed were being stored but Emma suspected had been sold. She told me about the panic attacks she'd started having, the way her heart would race every time she heard Catherine's voice. I kept thinking I was going crazy, Emma said as we scrubbed wine stains out of the couch. Like maybe I was being ungrateful or selfish. But I knew something was wrong. I just couldn't figure out how to stop it. That's how people like Catherine work, I said. They find your weak spot in your case, your grief and your fear of dishonoring Michael, and they exploit it. They make you doubt your own reality. Why would she do that to me? I'm her brother's widow. I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe she's always been entitled. Maybe she saw an opportunity and took it. Maybe she resented you having something she wanted. It doesn't really matter why. What matters is that you got your home back. 2 days later, I was getting ready to drive home. Emma was standing on the porch, looking stronger already. There was color in her face, and she'd slept 12 hours straight the night before. Are you sure you'll be okay? I asked, hugging her goodbye. I will be, she said. I already talked to my supervisor. I'm starting back at the lab part-time next week, and I'm going to find a therapist, a good one. That's good, I said. And Emma? If anyone ever tries this again, they won't, she said firmly. I know now what to look for, and I know I'm allowed to say no, even to family, especially to family. I drove away feeling lighter than I had in months, but I also kept my phone close, just in case. 3 weeks later, Emma called me. She sounded excited. Grandmother, you'll never guess what happened. Tell me. Catherine tried to come back. She showed up yesterday with her suitcase saying she'd forgiven me for my outburst and she was ready to move back in. My hand tightened on the phone. What did you do? I said no. Emma's voice was proud. Just like that. No explanation, no justification, just no. And when she tried to argue, I closed the door. She stood outside for maybe 10 minutes, and then she left. How did it feel? Terrifying, Emma admitted, but also amazing. Like I was finally standing up straight for the first time in months. I'm so proud of you, I said, and I meant it with every fiber of my being. I wouldn't have gotten here without you, Emma said. You showed me it was possible to fight back. You reminded me I was worth fighting for. You always were, sweetheart. You always will be. 6 months later, I visited again. This time, I called ahead. Emma met me at the door with a genuine smile, the first real one I'd seen since before Michael died. The house was clean but lived in, comfortable. There were photos of Michael on the walls now, but they no longer seemed to cause Emma pain, just gentle sadness, the kind you learn to carry with you. I've been volunteering at the Marine Rescue Center, Emma told me over dinner that night, helping rehabilitate sea turtles. It's good work, meaningful. That's wonderful. And I've been thinking, she said, looking at me carefully, about maybe dating again. Eventually, I'm not ready yet, but I'm not ready either, if that makes sense. It makes perfect sense, I assured her. I'll never forget Michael, she said softly. But I'm learning that honoring his memory doesn't mean stopping my life. It means living it fully, the way he would have wanted me to. Yes, I said. Exactly, yes. As I left the next day, I looked back at the little blue house by the ocean. It had witnessed grief and exploitation and fear, but it had also witnessed strength and recovery and hope. Emma had her sanctuary back. More importantly, she had herself back. And that, I thought as I drove away, was worth every penny, every mile, and every hard conversation. Some gifts aren't just about the thing itself, they're about what that thing makes possible. I'd given Emma a house, but she'd given herself something much more valuable: permission to stand up, to fight back, to say no. She'd given herself her freedom, and watching her reclaim it had been one of the greatest privileges of my life.